This week's episode is brought to you by the home and auto insurance brand Canadians trust most, Intact Insurance. Hello, welcome to the Jann Arden podcast. This is an exciting day because all three of us are back together again. The band is back together. I'm here with Sarah Burke. Caitlin Green was celebrating her 10th, 1-0. I don't know what that means in anniversary world. Is it wood, glass, crystal?
I don't know either. I didn't even know that was a thing.
Alexa, what is the 10th anniversary symbol?
There's like a material associated with anniversaries, and I didn't know that until semi-recently. So... yeah, you're right. There's like wood, or one's supposed to be like cotton, or I don't know. We've never celebrated.
Might be Gaunch. 10th anniversary might be Gaunch, and it might be a box of condoms. We don't know. We're going to find out because I know that our listeners will write in. So
it's not latex.
Anyway, tell me, we got a lot to cover today. We got a whole bunch of stuff. We got Hollywood stuff. We got Emmys. We've got the TikTok court case, or whatever you want to call it, the litigation, the conversation in the United States about banning TikTok. I want to touch on that today. But first of all, your trip. And you sent me an interesting note about going on a trip and realizing what you want to bring from those vibes and that energy back into your own life. Because we all go on these holidays and we do things that we don't normally do in our real lives.
Mm-hmm.
So tell me everything. You and Kyle went to
Hudson Valley, New York.
Hudson Valley, New York.
Yeah. So it's a region outside of Manhattan. It's upstate New York. It's in the Catskills. It is absolutely spectacular. It's so beautiful. And it reminds me a little bit of the region that I constantly talk about in Canada, the Eastern Townships in Quebec. It's really like similar, but it's all these amazing little towns that have great food scene. Woodstock is there. Hudson, New York, which is sort of like the biggest town. We were in a town called Accord, New York, and they have great food, great drinks, wonderful people, amazing like grocery shopping sites, just like everything is awesome. And you're in a very beautiful scenic location, and you've got art. There's a lot of art there. There's music, there's performances, there's, outdoor amazing performing art centers. And we went to a beautiful art center called Storm King Art Center, which I think I mentioned in my voice note last week. And it is just spectacular and made me feel like I really want to bring this like artistic vibe.
Yeah, you mentioned that. You want art. You want that in your life. So how do you see that going, that kind of vibe? How do you see that being placed into your life?
I think immediately I want to try something as simple as maybe a ceramics class. Something.
Oh, I see. Like actually doing some crafts.
Yeah.
Having a tactile artistic experience.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
And then also making more of an effort to connect with the artistic community here in Toronto, because we have, I have an annual membership to the AGO. I should be going more often to see all of their exhibits. We have contemporary art centers here. I just think I should be more in tune with that locally, because I loved it when we were away. And it tingles your brain and makes you look around and think we're missing art and design in so much of our regular life. And when you have more of it and it's something beautiful to look at and interesting to look at, like it just made my day better. So I want to do that. Haven't you guys felt that way from a vacation where you left and you were like, the thing that exists here, I want to do more of when we get home, whether it's like music or food or.
Absolutely. The problem being is there's no castles here. Casa Loma in Toronto. Like, I'll tell you what, going to Europe, and it's a little different than taking a drive to upstate New York, which is fantastic. I've been in that area, and I know exactly what you mean by those dotted little towns that have the perfect cafe, the perfect little art gallery where there's a bespectacled woman sitting there selling like the most gorgeous things for $300, and you just like, what? But yeah, in Europe, whenever I go, the explosion of things in antiquity, the explosion of buildings that are stamped built in 1609, the explosion of little signs that say on this corner 62 witches were burned in 1479. Like I come back here and it's just like, going since 1991. Come on in and enjoy our donuts. Like I don't feel like we have a culture here that one would identify with Canada. Like, I really
Yeah.
struggle with that. What is our culture? We are absolutely a very diverse country. I'm extremely proud of that. Um, Calgary looks so much different than the Calgary I grew up in. There are black and brown faces. There are synagogues. There are
Mhm.
mosques. There are things that didn't exist here in 1975. So the redneck whole vibe here has come a long, long way because it's not just a bunch of white people uh, in the oil industry and bringing up cattle. And I don't mean to sound, but that's the truth of it. So yeah, I miss that. But the art in particular, maybe that is art. Maybe history is a form of art. I wish I went places to go see stuff here.
Mhm.
I don't want to go up the Calgary Tower again. You know,
Well, and I
they're
think
even.
that I feel like we have a lot of nature. Obviously, Canada's synonymous for beautiful national parks, and even Toronto punches above its weight class for parks, I think. I feel like our motto is a city within a park. I think it is. But I find that we do struggle with that piece of kind of history and cultural identity, and we have probably got a lot more work to do when it comes to like celebrating the indigenous history that we have here in Canada, because I remember going out west when I was a kid and being really struck by some of the indigenous art that was there. Like I was, it's incredible. And then you think of like, and I again return to art because I'm in that moment, but like Emily Carr, you're like, what? This was like such a great Canadian artist. And when you go and see the
Group of
Canadian, the
Seven
group
and
of
all
seven,
that.
when you go to the AGO and see that type of stuff, I'm like, this is what I need to get more into. I need to be more familiar with it, and then more familiar with contemporary Canadian artists, because I really like it. Like I find it fun, and I want to try a little bit of it myself, even though I don't think I'm going to be very good, but it's really just for the
Who
experience.
cares?
Yeah.
Like
But
to
you're right.
paint?
And there's a ton
Maybe
of.
to
Sorry?
paint.
Yeah.
Maybe to paint. My mother-in-law is a fabulous painter, and she's really leaned into it later in her life. She's had exhibits. She'll like sell pieces now, and it's giving her a lot, I think, emotionally. She's really taking something from it.
Mhm.
And so I see that it has value for sure for people's lives, even if you're not necessarily like a professional artist. So maybe painting.
Well, listen, they have those painting classes where you can go in and they serve wine. Like, you can literally have a glass of wine and cheese and crackers and be there with maybe 6, 8 other women.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know if everyone paints the same thing, but I've had friends that have gone and done that, and they said that was so fun. Best
Yeah.
$125 I ever spent, because it includes your snacks, your canvas, your paint. So when you walk into those places, you don't have to worry about, oh my God, I got to get to Michael's and buy a watercolor palette and 10 brushes. Like, they really do make it easy for you to sit in a chair, get your little Dixie cup full of Chardonnay, Pinot Grigio, and hopefully there's somebody naked there that you can sketch, but I don't think that's the case. Anyway, I want to backtrack a little bit from what I said because I feel like an asshole. there is there is myriad seriously, there's myriad things to do in Calgary for the arts. There is a thriving art community. There's lots of crafts here. There is festivals every fucking weekend. I'm looking at a banner going underneath Crowchild Trail, where it's like
Mm-hmm.
the Jamaican thing, the African festival, the Polish reunion. Anyway, there's so many things. I just don't go. So this is on me, folks. There's a ton of shit here, and
Well, we know you'd go
there's
to a castle, so there is that. We need to build some
well, we don't
castles
have
for you.
Have you
castles
played
here.
Casa Loma? Because they do a lot of artist stuff
I
there
did
now.
something there for the Walk of Fame, and
Oh.
the air
Yeah.
conditioning didn't work. We were
Oh my God.
cooking in a room upstairs. It was really funny because we had a knock on the door. Rick Mercer and I were sitting in there, and the tenors came in, and one of them had done something horrible to his back, and he was crippled over, and they had to sing that night. And they were just kind of groaning. They're like, sorry, you've got a bigger bathroom. Can we bring so and so in here? So when I think of Casa Loma, I think of the tenors, these beautiful men, these talented, beautiful men coming in groaning like they'd had a skateboarding accident.
Oh my
And
God.
but his poor back, he managed to take something, and I'll tell you what, they got up there and sang like angels, as they always do. And I was
Hmm.
thinking about the poor man's back. Anyway, Casa Loma, I will be back under better circumstances.
But you and your performance at the castle, was it cool? Like, it's just seems
Oh,
like
it's
such a cool environment.
I think the story behind it, building it for love and building it to recognize the relationship with his wife, I think that's sort of the backstory to Casa Loma.
Mm-hmm.
It's pretty nuts to have that kind of money to build something that majestic, but it gets so much. How many people get married there every year? My God.
Lots.
I've been to a wedding there, and we at Chum we did two. They called them house parties, where they gave away $100,000, and it was a bunch of listeners at Casa Loma. And they put on a great party, and the view there is so beautiful, and they do a really amazing haunted kind of walk
Ooh,
around
yeah.
Halloween too, which is super popular here.
it's supposed to be quite haunted. Like
There's 98
literally
rooms
quite
in
haunted.
this castle.
98. Same.
Yeah.
Same with my place. Yeah.
We do have, like, Toronto has a bit of historical buildings, I think, because it was probably like the most developed, but Canada's so young. And I know Julie
It
Van
is young.
Rosendahl was recently, she was doing some sort of a tour in Newfoundland. And she said that this particular region of Newfoundland was home to the largest number of underground cold cellars in the world, like built into like the sides of mountains and stuff. You would just see a little wooden door pop up, and people would go down there and use them as like natural refrigerators back in the day.
Oh, God,
And
yeah.
so there's those types of things that I sort of like geek out on, and I need to be more familiar with that stuff here. But there's a lot of it in Hudson Valley. My God, again, like Storm King's second to Machu Picchu in terms of places I've been in my life in person and been
Wow.
blown away. It was fabulous.
Well, like we've said, folks, we need to bring a little bit of that holiday vibe
Mhm.
into our own lives, whether that's learning how to make your own chai latte in your house and not having to walk to the barista, but something fun. I mean, a big thing for me traveling is always going to cafes. I
Yeah.
love finding a cafe and trying whatever they've got going on, and trying something out of the baking cabinet or trying.
Mhm.
It's fantastic. But I mean, it's not always the big things. Little things really make it special. But anyway, moving on, because we don't have a lot of time today. I would be remiss not to speak about the Emmys, because apparently the viewership was up 60% from 3 years ago. And that's a
Yeah.
really phenomenal number. Eugene Levy and his son, Dan Levy, they were the hosts, and I think they did a really great job. I've seen clips. I'm going to be honest. I did not watch the show in its entirety. I go to bed at 7:30 to read. But Caitlin is up, and I'm sure you're up.
I didn't
Sarah,
watch it this year either.
Oh, okay. So,
I don't have kids.
but I've heard amazing things about the Only Murder in the Building stars, the little clip that they did. So Selena Gomez, Martin Short, and Steve Martin came up and did a bit. My feed the next morning was filled with, these three people need to host the Oscars. These are the people. Oscars, take note. These are the people to get. I probably woke up to 50 or 60 of those kinds of messages. And but yeah, what was your takeaway on some of the winners and losers and clothes?
I think that it remains confusing to me that The Bear is in the comedy category. That's always a big topic, but it was a big topic again this year. And I've discovered that it's only because of the show's runtime. They have these unusual parameters which define how a show is categorized. And if it's 30 minutes, it's a comedy, apparently. So I think that's why you saw a lot of acting, like performance awards, go to people who were on The Bear. And so they're awarded for comedy performances, but it's not a comedic show. But then you would see best comedy series goes to Hacks. And I think that's because Hacks is very clearly a comedy, and it's a much better comedy.
Well, the voters spoke very loudly and clearly about that.
So I think I do think they should change that. Like at first I thought it was just this funny thing that the internet was commenting on, but then the more I thought about it, I was like, I do actually feel like they should probably adjust that because it seems arbitrary. So I know that was like a big talking point. I didn't watch it this year because I can't get down with an award show being right now seasonally. I feel that award shows are a winter sport, and that's when I want to watch it. I don't know that I can watch it at like 9 p.m. when the sun is still up, sort of. So I didn't watch it, but the reviews for the Levy are incredible, and I have seen a lot of clips, and I think they did an excellent job. I think that the two of them are a really fun duo, and it does also speak to the comedic talent here in Canada. I mean, we know about it. We've known about it for years, but the two of them are so funny. And to see Dan Levy, he used to do the Hills after show on MTV here. And now he's co-hosting the Emmys with his dad. And I was like, hello, everyone. We are a training ground for comedians and for live performers that I don't think gets enough credit. And
Catherine O'Hara, the whole
oh,
SCTV
exactly.
gang. Martin
Yeah.
Short is in one of the biggest shows on Disney.
Well, then, yeah, like look at that. Then they're like, oh, let's
Yeah.
have Martin Short do it with Steve Martin and Selena Gomez. And I
I'd
think
love to
that's
see that.
so would I. I mean, and I like that show so much. So I do think that was great. I thought Jean Smart was so cool in her acceptance speech. I love that she.
73 years old.
I mean,
So to anybody out there, women in particular, and we have a
mhm.
lot of female visitors. We have a lot of female listeners and visitors to this show. If you're 55 and thinking to yourself, what's left for me? Well, fast forward 20 years. Jean Smart's been doing, that's her 3rd season now. It is whip smart. She looks fucking gorgeous. She's very sexual.
Mm-hmm.
You like, I struggle with not wanting to kiss Jean Smart. Like, I just, she is so cute. Like, even like, I think Hannah Einbender is amazing too, but Jean Smart, she does it for me. I just think she's amazing. So yeah, just note to self, don't worry about how old you are. Worry about being healthy and well and being able to do shit.
And don't count yourself out, because like cool is cool, and smart is smart, and funny is funny. And when you see the people who are being, I think, very frequently celebrated right now in television. I mean, you had the year of Jennifer Coolidge when she was on White Lotus, and then you look at Eugene Levy. He's obviously older, and then Martin Short and Steve Martin, Catherine O'Hara. You know, there's a lot to be said for the appreciation of just people who are cool, no matter what age they are, and also I think a lot of them have swagger. And that's that thing that you can't quite put your finger on, and it really is timeless. And if you have self-confidence and like a bit of panache, you're leaps and bounds ahead of someone who just has like youth and like a hot bod on their side, in my opinion.
Read Leslie M's book called Swagger. Just shout out to Leslie.
Yes.
She sent me her book when it came out, and it is so dead on. It really gives you ideas about where to find that again in your in yourself, in your life. So Leslie M, thank you for sending us the check for $400. Not to mention, no, it really is wonderful. You can find it on Amazon. You can find it in bookstores. And Leslie M, of course, is Erica M's sister. So it's a very talented family, obviously.
I had no idea.
Their mom.
Sarah's like, wait a minute, what?
Their mom.
I watch your dog.
Their mom, the Journey woman. I hope I'm getting that right. Their mom, who passed away a few years ago, was a traveler. She traveled the world. She was a woman in her 70s, and she was like out there. Her adventures were amazing. I loved following her on Instagram.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, so the Emmys, good surprises. Baby Reindeer, which was the fucking weirdest show that I saw this year. They both won. So Mr. Gad won, and I think it was Jenny, the other actress, the actress that actually played Martha, the wackadoodle stalker woman, apparently based on his real life, that this comedian had a female stalker that he was kind to one day, sort of bought her a drink or something, chatted with her, and she suddenly immediately assumed that they were going out.
Yeah.
But this series, if you haven't seen it, it is uncomfortable. It's very cringy.
I couldn't finish it.
Well, that's what I mean. I did, because I just wanted to know where the hell this thing landed. But it certainly was different. It was not like anything you'd seen, on Netflix. And so I was glad for them. And it was another one of those underdog stories.
It was supposed to be, really, from what I saw, it was very well done and quite good. I just don't think I was in the mood to be so uncomfortable while I was watching a show. But I think it touched on a lot of important issues. Like at some point, I think obviously there was some, discussion around like male sexual assault, and also around sort of the predatory nature of the entertainment industry. So it does deal with some really serious topics. And the woman in real life who allegedly sleuths on the internet figured out she was the inspiration for this character. They sought her out, and she went on Piers Morgan. And
I saw that. I saw bits of that. I was like, what is happening?
It was so bizarre, and that took place after I had stopped watching the show, and the show also made me feel very weirded out, and then that interview was very weird. So it's super weird all around, but I think
so weird.
He had a really nice thing to say too, though, because he's the guy who wrote the show that it's based on, obviously. He was talking about how down and out he was in his life, and he would never have seen himself on stage accepting an award in Los Angeles at the Emmys all those years
In
ago.
a kilt, no less.
And like, yeah, hopefully with underwear, but we'll never know. But he just talks about how, no matter how down you feel about yourself, it does get better. And it was sort of like a hang in there for anyone who was struggling. That was another, I think, Emmys highlight that was sort of circulated. So yeah. And also the Kathy Bates moment where she said, do you know how hard it was for me to get a date after Misery?
That was a great line. My God, she's lost a lot of weight.
Yeah, do you think that's
Kathy
Ozempic?
Bates.
I shouldn't say that because maybe I'm
But you know
being
what?
dumb,
I
but-
hope she didn't need help. I mean, I think there was very much a health history there, and she looks fantastic, and she just seems. Anyway, I love seeing her.
Like, not that it
and
matters, but a lot of people were asking that because they were like, do we think that that's that? But
Well, just very quickly touching on weight, I want to give you my Noom update. I've lost 12 pounds on Noom in 5.5 weeks. If you've been with it, and I'm eating a lot. Like, I can't even tell you. I was saying to Caitlin and Sarah that I'm just making better choices. Like, obviously, if I want to eat more, it needs to be things that are low calorie and just a high volume. So I'm eating way more vegetables and fruits. And anyway, I've just learned a lot.
It was possible for you to eat more vegetables.
It really isn't. But I do process stuff. I'll have things like everybody else. I like a box of goddamn crackers with, Boursin cheese on it. Boursin makes a great plant-based cheese. Like, I can pack that away. And who doesn't like chips and dip? I make this amazing vegan chip dip. I think I've made it for you here.
Yeah.
It's an old time. Anyway, all that shit aside.
It tastes like hell.
I've lost 12 pounds. And what my worry is, and I thought about this a few nights ago laying in bed, I hope people don't think I'm on Ozempic. I hope. Because
and then I just brought your fear to reality.
Yeah, I can tell. Thank you, Caitlin. I can tell because my pants are just fitting a lot better. Like, things are feeling a bit better, but it's nothing. No one has said one word to me. I'm around my friends all the time. Went walking with Nadine and her husband, Dave. We took the dogs to an off-leash park and we walked like 99 miles. And I thought, I'm looking pretty good in these jeans. They didn't say anything to me. So it's not even really noticeable.
Well,
it's
12
noticeable
pounds
to me.
12 pounds is a lot, but like you said, it's
not
it's
when you look like me, not when you're around like me.
What is that voice? Is that like you being an elf?
Well,
It's
it's
Will.
gonna be quite a
It
long
is
time
Will.
until people can tell that I'm losing weight because I had quite a bit to.
Anyway, I'll probably put it back on, and that's
that's
okay.
the whole thing with Noom. You're probably not gonna put it.
Why
back
are you
on.
yelling at me? Why are you yelling?
It's
No,
supposed
you're
to be
right.
Slow and steady.
I was just talking to somebody. What is that? My friend in BC has done Noom. She lost 30 pounds, and so she's been doing the maintenance thing for a long time. I said, "What does that look like?" She goes, "It's just, you just kind of watch where your calories are, but you're not doing lessons every day, and you're not this or that." But she said, I'll go up a couple pounds and then I dip down. She goes, I just make better choices for myself, and I'm still eating lots of treats. And there's a treat day.
Yeah.
I have
treat day.
I have fucking 3 treat days banked.
Built
So
up.
that means for me, I want to know what your treat day is too. For me, it's going to a matinee and having a medium popcorn. No butter,
Ooh.
medium popcorn.
No butter.
And vegan.
Oh yeah, sorry. They
can't eat
gotta
that
have
shit.
vegan butter for you at this point.
No,
Or
but
ghee.
so what, Sarah, what's your treat day? Like, if you were on Noom, what would your treat day be?
Well, I was telling Jan that I did start, like, I didn't find the sign up experience very good. Like, I felt like I got 45 emails and I was like, whoa, Noom. And I got like turned off.
Oh,
But-
note to Noom.
Yeah,
Turn
about
this
the
around.
about the user experience. But I did end up like waiting to the last minute to like finish the sign up, and it gave me a pretty good deal. Although
sweet.
Now I'm
Ooh.
behind you guys, which is fine. But my treat day on like Saturday, I went just to a very cute Midland patio in cottage country with my dad, and we had fish and chips, and it was
Oh.
so good.
I
Okay,
love
see,
fish
I
and
love
chips.
that. That's a good
Yeah.
treat day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That would be so satisfying. Tartar
Mhm.
sauce, salt, vinegar on the
Oh,
chips.
I'm drooling
Yeah.
now.
My mouth is water. Yeah,
Yeah.
Sorry.
that just hit me right in the.
Yeah.
Well, I had a treat week. Like when we were away, I was not counting calories. So
No,
But
as
that's
you
what I
should
mean,
not.
and nor should
and that's
you.
exactly because then what I think it does is you then come back and have a shorthand, a collection of meals sort of in your Rolodex where you know that these are calorically not too dense. You're going to feel full. They're nutritious. You like them. And for me, it's oftentimes a smoothie or a really quick thrown together salad. I, of course, do factor meals as well during the week. So I think that knowing that you can just knowing that you can have fun while you're on vacation, have your treat day, go to a patio, eat popcorn at a matinee, that makes you, it takes the stress away in some way around like food, where you're like, whatever, I'm empowered to just come back home and snap back into things and be fine again.
Yeah.
Every day I have a grande pink drink from Starbucks. Well, not every day. I don't go into town every day, but I'm going to say 3-4 times a week. It is strawberry. It's coconut milk and kind of like this lemonade.
refresher?
Yeah, it's a refresher.
Yeah.
And I always ask for extra ice. So I'm kind of slowing down. So what would have been 140 calories, I bet you with all the extra ice is 80. I am in heaven having that treat.
Yeah.
I'm just in heaven doing that.
And that's a
And, like-
reasonable thing to have as your little, like one of your little indulgences. It's totally fine.
Yeah.
You can't have a
Anyway.
Dunkin' latte, something I discovered when I was in America.
Oh my God, they're like 500 calories.
Oh, it's probably more. I don't know. It tasted like
Oh.
it tasted like melted coffee ice cream. It's an iced drink at Dunkin' Donuts. And I don't know how this had happened, but I realized when we were driving down that I'd never had Dunkin' Donuts before. So we stopped at a rest stop and I really wanted to try it. And on the screen in Dunkin' was the ad for the Dunkin' Latte, and it was a slow-mo pour, and it was all spinning around, and they described it as a
They got
melty
you.
milkshake, and they friggin' got me. And it is so good. I had 2 while I was there. I had one on the drive
Okay.
there and one on the drive home.
Okay.
Thank God these aren't in Canada.
Was it like an ice cap? Was it like a Tim Hortons ice cap?
But it's not blended. It's just cubed ice with like the drink poured over it. And so
What the hell?
it's like an iced latte, but what
Yeah.
they use in it is something
is
called
full fat cream?
It's got to be full fat, or it's at least whole milk. But what they do is they make what they call coffee milk, which would be the same as if back in the day you made your own chocolate milk as a kid. You put chocolate syrup in and mixed it with milk, and then you made chocolate milk. It's coffee
Oh.
syrup. So they make coffee flavored milk,
Stop
and
it.
then they add the espresso or whatever, and it's.
Did you look at the caffeine, by the way?
I didn't look at anything. I was like, this
The
is
reason I ask is like I've mentioned that my sister is pregnant, so she's watching her caffeine, and
Yes.
she just got back from Buffalo. She was in the U.S. on the
Mhm.
weekend, and she's like, "Oh my God, there was like 200 milligrams of caffeine in
know.
the smallest one from Dunkin'."
yeah,
But a 200 milligram hit is
Yeah.
very normal for a serving of coffee.
for sure.
Like
It's-
that's a pretty
think that's
average.
great.
So, in a tiny one. Well, I don't do
Yeah.
caffeine. I always do the decaf. I doubt very much they'd have a decaf version of that because a lot of times they'll say we don't do a decaffeinated version.
They have every facsimile, every adjustment. They have 10 million
Okay.
different proprietary syrups. So I bet you they could do a
Okay.
decaf Dunkin' Latte. So
And
it's
did
so
they
good.
do plant milks?
Oh yeah, tons. Oh my gosh. Everywhere you went there, it was, oat milk or almond, or they had so many different things. And
Great.
because the Hudson Valley region reminds me a lot of LA, and sort of it has a bit of a crunchy hippie element to it, I think likely because of the
Love
history of
that.
it being an arts community and so the vegan options are endless. The food is incredible. The grocery stores there, their version of sort of Whole Foods, although of course Whole Foods is from the US, but
Love a
they're
grocery
local.
store.
I love a US grocery store.
I love a U.S. grocery store.
I have to like I know some Canadians will probably be like, damn you for this, but like I love the US. When I go to the US, I'm like, I love your TV, I love your ads, I love your cars, I love the width of your roads, I love your grocery stores. I just all those things.
She'll be joining us from Hudson Valley next week.
Are you
I
listening,
wish.
Farm Boy? Are you listening, Farm Boy?
I do like Farm Boy.
I like
We
Farm
have a Sunterra here, and we have another store called Blush Lane
Boy.
that
Ooh.
absolutely rivals a U.S. store. I spend a lot more money going in there, but I just took a special trip into Calgary 2 days ago and went to Blush Lane, and I got some of my favorite stuff. Killer drink aisle, like killer smoothie fridge, killer. Like there's just stuff that I get there. Some of their plant yogurts are just like out of this world that I can't get anywhere else. Like
know.
certainly not at a Safeway. But I went. I
And-
had one bag of like a little canvas, my little recyclable bag. I managed to stuff $244 of
Yeah.
shit into one bag.
I mean,
I
it's 2024. That's what happens.
I went, Jann, you got to stop that. You cannot do that. But that's just a one-off. Usually I'm the 2-for-1 girl.
Wouldn't you
and
say
this-
groceries are the highest expense item?
Absolutely.
Okay.
I
buy?
am I'm
Yeah.
blown away.
Me too.
every day I go in there to buy stuff that goes up every week.
Well, and
Like
so the
plant-
US dollar is obviously working against us when we go
Yep,
down there. But I will
30%.
say, yeah, but when I look at the food costs of their grocery stores versus ours, I'm like, wait a minute, Canada's very broken because it's so much cheaper to buy things there. You can get stuff there for a lot cheaper and things that are gourmet. I mean, like gourmet popcorn or all the fancy, green options that are at these grocery stores, but they're priced lower. So if you were getting paid in US dollars, you'd be spending a lot less. Not to say that it isn't still more expensive than it used to be, but I was shocked. Like they have a type of cottage cheese that I'm obsessed with called Good Culture. It's so much more affordable than our cottage cheese, which here is actually also way worse. Like their popcorn there. They have a popcorn that you would love, Jan, because they use nutritional yeast called Bjorn corn. And it's so much cheaper than the popcorn here. I don't understand it. It doesn't make sense to me.
I had Bjorn corn at the Betty Fjord Clinic many years ago. Okay, I'll stop. I'll
I
see
just need
myself
to know.
out.
We need to come up with a name for your voices. I'm going to work on that because I need a name for that voice and also for the little like baby voice.
Yes, of course you do.
And that one.
That was a different.
That's new. Okay.
Is it?
That
What
was
are
like
you
a,
talking
that was a
about?
grandma.
Listen,
What's going
listen
on?
to me. I'm telling you right now.
This is your internal monologue.
You broads are busting my balls today. Okay? You're busting my balls. If I want to talk about Betty Fjord, I'm going to talk about Betty Fjord.
You sound like mob wives. Anyways, okay.
Mob wives. Well, I'm so glad you had a good trip.
Great time.
And you're right. And I'm really going to backtrack here. I think the listener wants to know what a Factor meal is because I know I do.
Oh,
What is a
so Factor
meal?
Factor is a meal delivery service that is quite popular here in Toronto. I see a lot of their boxes coming to our condo building, but also just on porches everywhere. And instead of making your own meal where they send you the ingredients, the meals are pre-made. And so you can do a set amount per week. And honestly, when you, again, discussing the food costs nowadays, when you factor in how much you're spending on groceries and then the amount of time that you're spending to make the food and then clean it up, and you would assign then a dollar value to each hour you're spending doing that, it does actually save you money, and it's sure as hell cheaper than Uber Eats and takeout, and it's much better for you. And
It's owned by HelloFresh.
Is it owned by HelloFresh?
Yeah.
Oh, amazing. Okay,
They
so
just
smart.
offer the two different like subscription models. Yeah.
Oh, that's very smart. Okay, so I love it. I fell in love with it because it made our lives so much easier when we found that our evenings were so busy preparing food for Will, then putting him to bed, then cleaning up. Then we were making food for ourselves, then cleaning that up. Like I just during the week didn't want to do it. And their vegan options are amazing. They do
That's cool.
stuff with tofu. They do better tofu than I could certainly make at home. And last night we had a butter like chicken style tofu. So it's the butter chicken sauce, but it's still vegan and it's on tofu
Ooh.
with vegetables and all these a mix
You're
of lentils
killing
and
me
rice.
today.
I know it was
killing
really
me.
good. So again, like please sponsor us, Factor, because I legit love your service and we do it 4 meals a week.
I think in the long run, and this has been studied, is that a lot of times these meal services are going to cost you less per meal than if you were to get in your car, go to the grocery store, get your stuff, park, all those things, your time commitment. So if you want to do that once in a while, there's a lot of meal services here, and I will do them if I know I'm going to be home for like a 2 or 3 week stretch. And they actually drop them at my gate. I'm like, just hang the bag on my gate. Sprout, shout out to Sprout. They're an amazing service here in Calgary. They're completely vegan. They don't do any other meals, but they started up during COVID, husband and wife making meals in their kitchen.
Love that.
And it has really taken off. They have a giant facility now, and they're doing really, really well. One more food thing before we go. Stefano's, Stefano, is in Toronto, and I'm so jealous. It is a
the sandwich.
Oh yes,
it is a
yes.
sandwich place. So it's owned by the same women as they run GIA, GIA. The address is 1265 Dundas Street West. Get your ass to Stefano's. It is the best Big Mac, the best chicken, the best fish fillet.
She's air quoting. For
No,
those who
I'm
are
air
not
quoting
watching
right
on
now.
YouTube.
It is beyond anything, any flavor profile, texture, mouth texture. I've never had a better sandwich in my life. They do a deli sandwich. They do I cannot speak highly enough. I'm going to be in Toronto for a little thing called the live podcast event with the Jann Arden pod with two girls that I know really well. And the first thing I'm going to do when I wake up on the 30th, because I'm going to be there a day early, I'm going to Stefano's and they open at 3 p.m. and I'm going to go get something. And I'm going to fuck Noom right out the window. And I'm going to have, some French fries. Stefano's. I'm so jealous. Okay.
Yeah, so their website says, I will say, their website says that they are opening soon at 1265 Dundas West. So I think that location opens up September 26th. And that's what it looks like from their website.
They're doing sandwiches out of Gia, though. So you can get a Stefano's sandwich out of Gia.
And then they're also going to be at Veg TO Fest, which is September 21st and 22nd. And it's a big vegan and vegetarian food festival that takes place here in Toronto, which would also be, if you're already going.
I wish I was there.
I know. That would be great.
I should have planned this better.
I know. If only but when we did our
Next
company.
Jann gets a booth.
we did our company dinner at Gia. And I'm telling you, it was one of the best meals I had of the year. It was truly so good. And I'm not full vegan or full vegetarian, but
and nor are they.
Yeah,
they can veganize anything at Gia, but they don't do meat, like they don't do things like that. But I know they do some egg, some cheese. That's it. So vegetarian vibe, but all the menu items say veganize this, no problem. But it is superb.
Yeah, you're not losing anything. It's so delicious. So I definitely want to check out those sandwiches. And that Honey's ice cream that was recommended to us by, I think it was Erin Ireland, or maybe it was one. Maybe it was
talking about Honey's ice cream.
It's better than any actual ice cream I've ever had. I'm not joking. The cookie dough ice cream, and you can buy it by the pint, is so I've gained at least 5 pounds from that ice cream. It's derailed my Noom experience. I can't have it in the house. I can go get it as a little treat. And even my husband, who's a huge ice cream fan, said the same thing. He's like, it's the best ice cream I've ever had. So vegan stuff is coming a long way.
One more food item, and I cannot skip this. I get it. No, I get a message. This involves dogs.
Okay.
So I get a message yesterday on Instagram from FHR YYC. They are a rescue, basically. They look after dogs. They're an adoption place. They're an amazing FHR in YYC. This was the note. Hello, Jann. We hope you are doing well. We have a very special private event coming up, a 3-course tasting menu. And I'm thinking, God knows, for 20 lucky dogs. This unique event will take place at the Dandy Brewing Company in Inglewood on the evening of October 11th. We would be absolutely honored to offer your pup one of the 20 spots. So I think Poppy would be like the worst possible dog to do this, because this is him. If you're not on YouTube, I'm turning my face abruptly to the side, refusing to put anything near my mouth. But maybe he would do okay if I starved him for 3 days. Anyway, I just thought to Carmen and everyone at the FHR, I would love to go. I'm still going to see if I can clear that date. But how fun to be at a table with 20 dogs with bibs doing a 3-course tasting menu. I just laughed out loud. It's such a great way to raise money. Because I think all the people are there, and
money and awareness, because obviously these are sort of I would imagine these doggy influencers kind of.
And probably some of their clients, some of their residents, that are just,
there are dogs that have more
Heinz 57s, and I know.
I love that idea. I think that's so. I mean,
so cute.
Can you imagine?
I'll let you know.
Imagine being the servers, though. I don't know.
I'll let you know.
Okay, wait. On that note, we didn't. Yeah. We talked a little bit. I sent the voice note about the debate, but while we're talking about this, the friggin' stuff
they're
now.
Eating dogs. They're eating cats.
The different memes that have popped up in the last.
The songs.
Oh man, the gift that this clip was to the internet. You knew it was going to be something else when he said it. I couldn't believe it. I was screaming at my TV in rural upstate New York. But
with your American friends, how did you feel being amongst Americans watching the debate? Because that you didn't really tell us.
They were really everyone's really kind of, I think, on the same page geopolitically. So there wasn't
At least
a lot
in Hudson Valley.
Yeah, for sure. But we still saw Trump flags, and I'm certain there are people who whether or not they necessarily love Donald Trump, they probably always will vote for whoever the Republican candidate is. I'll say that. There are people who are just like, sorry, I'll always be voting with the party. And that's just the way they think. So, but it's interesting. And it was a huge topic of conversation, not just during the debate and on the debate night, but all around it leading up to it and then after, because they're talking about, there's always this, people are going to leave, if he wins, if he comes back, then we're going to sell our place. We're going to move to wherever. And I take that with a grain of salt because I don't know how many people actually do that. But I was even just looking at real estate because I love the area so much. I was just curious about how much houses cost. And even people who, I was talking to the director of their spa, and she was like, well, it might get a lot more affordable here soon if he wins. I was like, do you think housing prices are going to go down because Donald Trump wins? Like, I don't know. I'm not there, but huge topic of discussion. And as a Canadian, we're just sitting here going like, well,
I don't think he'll win. I don't think he'll win.
It seems close, which wasn't
it
even.
It does seem close, but I think it's going to be 1%, 1.5%, and I think the Democrats will win. I think common sense will prevail. And I think people are quite frightened of him. And even if people don't say, even the real Trumpers, they'll probably still tell their friends, I voted for him. I think they're even frightened of what can happen. When you say you have a concept of a plan, and Sarah and I were talking about this last week, your plan for this and that, or healthcare, or I have a concept of a plan. Okay, then I'm going to run for president. Because I, too, have a concept for a plan.
And he's like, I haven't really talked to my VP about his thoughts on abortion.
Well, you should have.
Even though he's going around telling everyone what this plan is. I'm like, and so it's just, you couldn't watch that beyond his performance around the economy, which was sort of the only place he kept it on the rails, which many people, they're only going to vote based on that. But beyond that piece, you've got to be a bit freaked out about the eating people's pets. Like that can't be, like that just cannot be. So I do feel as though he would have run away with the election if he was